Graduates from Taylor, Texas have been soaring to great heights for a very long time. And students today are already making their mark in the world long before graduation. Taylor is full of history, tradition, and an amazing community that supports its future leaders. With all the programs and opportunities available to students today, graduates from Taylor, Texas are soaring higher now than ever before. Our special guest today is Jason Hennington, Taylor High School graduate and now managing editor of the Taylor Press. If you have ever considered a career in journalism, Jason tells us about the rewards and the challenges of reporting the news. We'll also visit with Taylor High School teacher Dawn Fischer about the courses available for students who are preparing now for journalism-related careers. Our special guest today is Jason Hennington, 1999 graduate of Taylor High School and managing editor of the Taylor Press. Jason, welcome and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me.
So I've got to ask, when you graduated from Taylor High School in 1999 and you were on your way to college to pursue this degree in journalism, did you have any idea that you would come back to work at your hometown newspaper?
No idea at all. I never thought that I would be back in Taylor working at the newspaper. When I graduated high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to get an education. I wanted to go ahead and get my basics and then go from there. And as it turns out, journalism brought me back home, and I'm happy about that.
So you're having fun?
Yeah. Oh yes, definitely. I love it.
So I've got to ask, what does a managing editor do?
A little bit of everything. I cover everything from the school to the city, different events that go on. If there's breaking news, things that happen with the police, things that happen with the fire department. I would say everything but sports, but in my position, I have to also cover sports as well.
So 24/7 practically.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Always on call.
So you get a call, there's a story, you go out on that story. Could you tell us what you do from that point until it appears in the newspaper?
So if breaking news happens, for instance, a fire. If there's a fire, I go out to the fire, I grab my camera, my notepad, my recorder, and I head out to the fire. I get all the information that I can while I'm there. A lot of times you have firefighters, police officers, whatever the situation, a lot of times they won't talk to you right away, which is understandable, but I get as much detail as I can, and then we try to get it up on our breaking news feed as quickly as possible. We take all the information, try to make sure it's as accurate as possible, and get it up online before the paper comes out. And then once it's online, the next day or later in the evening, we make phone calls to try to make sure we have all of the information before we go to print. And when we go to print, we have a more, robust story about what happened.
So you immediately get the story out, or pretty quickly get the story out online.
Yes.
And then you have the full detailed story in the print version when the paper comes out.
Yes. And we also try to update our online story as well. So
as news becomes available.
As information comes in, we try to get it out as soon as possible.
So it's not like you go get the story, you put it out, and then you move on to the next story. You keep updating and keep the public informed as things change.
Yes. We stay on top of it. If, again, like I said, if there's a fire, we'll stay out there. I've spent 2 and 3 hours at fires before, and we'll be out there, and then I'll go home and I'll keep an eye on my email, keep an eye on my phone. As soon as we get information, I'll take a few minutes, put it up online, make sure that we get out all the information as timely as we can.
Because it's ongoing.
Yes, the news never sleeps.
So is that what you expected the career to be like when you went into it?
Not completely. Not completely. I started out as just a photographer, and I got some really, really good advice from mentors that I had when I was in college, and they always told me become a one-man band, meaning learn how to do everything. And once I done that, then journalism really, really became a part of what I wanted to do. I really learned what it was like to be a journalist rather than just a photographer.
So a lot of students don't know exactly what they want to do when they graduate from high school. They're still searching and looking. At what point then did you know for sure you wanted to be a journalist?
I would say my sophomore year in college. I knew in high school that I wanted to be a photographer because I love photography, especially sports photography. You meet a lot of people with photography because people see the camera and want to be your friend.
That's true.
But as I got into college, I learned more about writing. I learned more about putting out the information. And that's really when I decided this is what I want to do. This is the career path for me.
So as you came to that decision that that's what you wanted to do, what were some of the things that you did to pursue this career path, the pathway that led you to where you are now?
Well, I learned a lot about my camera, a lot more about my camera. I also wrote as much as possible. I learned how to pay attention to detail. I talked to different people. I followed some different people around, shadowed, and learned different things. I tried to learn every aspect of the job while I was on the job. So it was more of a learning by experience. So instead of just going to a baseball game and taking pictures, I go to the baseball game, take pictures, learn a little bit about the players if I can, talk to people in the stands, what they think about the game, that kind of stuff. So, and I actually learned most of it through sports, through covering sports, but trying to learn from experience.
So it sounds like it took a lot of dedication.
Yes. Yes.
Something you really wanted to do,
right,
and you pursued.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
So
sir.
what is your favorite part of being a journalist?
I would have to say it exposes me to things I otherwise might not experience. An example I'll give you is rodeo. I grew up here in Taylor, and I know that Taylor is a big rodeo town, but growing up, I never had a thirst for rodeo. I went to Alpine, and I still didn't have a thirst for rodeo, but the school I went to was a big rodeo school. I was told, you're going to go and shoot the rodeo this evening. And I thought, well, not really looking forward to it. And then I went out there, and I saw how exciting it is, how people really get into it. And as a photographer, I'm in the pit. So it got a little more exciting being down there, but I learned more about it. And now that's something that that I actually enjoy going to a rodeo now.
Covering those events
right.
now.
So I think being a journalist, I've been exposed to a lot of different things that I otherwise wouldn't have taken the time to try to experience.
Well, that's pretty cool that it worked out that way.
Right.
Yeah. Well, with all the different responsibilities and all the different types of stories that you go to cover, there must be some challenges.
Yes.
What would you say would be the biggest challenge in your career?
I think the biggest challenge is making everybody happy, which I learned a long time ago you cannot do. As a journalist, you have to be right in the middle. When you're writing stories, you can't sway to one side or the other. There's a lot of people that may not like what you have to write or may not like what you have to say, but it's your job to get the information out and get the right information out. And in today's times, you hear a lot of fake news, and you just have to be able to ignore that stuff and continue doing your job the right way. So.
Yeah, that's very important.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. So for students who may be watching this interview and they're thinking about seriously a role in journalism, and they're listening to all the things you've talked about your job and what you do and the things you encounter and the fun part and the challenges, what do you think at this point for a student considering journalism, what do you think would be the most important thing they should know as they're pursuing this career?
Learn as much as you can. As a photographer, learn how to photograph, learn how to write, learn how to design. Learn everything you can. Learn how to use social media, learn about using the internet, learn who to talk to when things happen. So if there's an accident or something and you're going to cover it, know the right people to talk to when you get there. know the right people to talk to afterwards. Learn as much as you can, but at the same time, write as much as you can. If you see something going on, go to it, get all the information you can, and then go sit down and write it immediately. That's the only way to learn, is by experiencing it and practicing as much as you can.
I know that you're very active in the community. And one of the projects that you're very active with is the 3-on-3 basketball tournament,
Yes, sir.
which in turn gives back to the community
Yes.
in many ways. Could you talk about that just a little bit?
Yes, when I was growing up, we didn't have something like that here in Taylor. Now, I know that there are some people that put on different events in some neighboring towns, but anytime we wanted to go and play in a big tournament, we had to drive to Austin or Rockdale, we drove as far as Milano, Bryan College Station. There was never anything here. And to me, this, even if it's just for 2 days, it gives people a place to go and have fun and compete. And in most cases, leave with something. There's people who come that aren't playing, they're just there watching, but they leave with some kind of prize, some kind of gift, something. I enjoy seeing people come to Taylor and see Taylor and experience it, but at the same time, they're coming and they're having fun, and it's something positive for the community.
You're also involved in a video project very similar to this called Around the Water Cooler.
Right.
Could you tell us a little bit about that video project and where our viewers can catch that?
Yes, it is on the Taylor Press Facebook page, and we are there every Wednesday at 2:15-ish. The Around the Water Cooler started as a weekly wrap-up for football. I have to say, we never thought it would turn into what it has. The original plan was to do it every week for football, and then after that, stop. But we got such a following. People were looking for it every week. It's just basically, you come and you listen to myself and our sports editor talk about the local sports, and every once in a while you hear us talk about some national issues. If you're an athlete, you may hear your name on the show, because we love talking about our athletes and boosting them. We love talking to people during the show. We have people who comment. We've had some special guests, some Taylorites that have come in. So it's a really good show for Taylor and the area, because it shows off our kids and what they're doing.
And that's important, because
Right.
our kids do great things.
Yes.
They really do. And this is a live broadcast.
Yes, every week. And you can hear us say often, you can tell this is live. We've had everything from the camera falling to random people walking in, the sound going off, just all kind of stuff. You never know what to expect.
We've talked a lot about Jason Hennington, the journalist, the managing editor. But tell us more about you. Tell us about Jason.
I think my biggest achievement is being a father. I have 2 beautiful little girls. I have a lovely wife. I'm a person who loves his community, who loves his family. I do anything for my family. I try to do everything I can for my community. I'm really kind of a laid back kind of guy. I know that with my job, sometimes I have to be outgoing and out in front, but I'd rather be behind the camera and not in front of it. I love helping people. I love being a part of stuff. I love being active.
Well, we're glad you joined us in front of the camera today. And it's very obvious that you are a true Taylor Duck, and that Taylor is very important to you.
Yes, sir.
So I need to ask the question, why Taylor? What is so special about this community?
It's home. It's where I grew up. It's just everything about Taylor. When I was in college, I wore Taylor on my sleeve. If you meet people from Alpine that went to school with me, they'll tell you they know something about Taylor. My wife is from West Texas, and when I go to visit her family or West Texas, I'm always talking about Taylor. Taylor is home. I love home. This is where I'm from. You can take me out of Taylor, but you can't take Taylor out of me.
You and Taylor Press publisher Richard Stone have been such a tremendous help in in informing the community about what's going on in the schools. Every issue of the Taylor Press, we can, anybody can pick it up and get a glimpse of what's going on in classrooms, what's going on across the district. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you to you and Richard and to everybody down there at the Taylor Press, because it's very important that the community knows what's going on. And so we appreciate your efforts to work with us in informing the community and keeping them informed.
Well, thank you. And at the same time, I want to say thank you to you, because we get a lot of that from you, and you keep us informed on what's going on, and we appreciate having that relationship with the school to be able to do that, because, like you said, it's very important to get that information out.
It's a good partnership.
Yes.
And the community benefits.
Yes, definitely.
Well, Jason, congratulations on all your accomplishments, and we appreciate all that you do for the community and your work with the press and just being a citizen of Taylor, a proud Taylor Duck. I've got one last question for you.
Okay.
What is your secret to success? What piece of advice would you like to share with others?
Believe in God, believe in yourself, and never let anybody tell you you can't. Because when they say you can't do it, that just means they don't want you to. That's my secret to success.
Well, thank you very much for that. And thank you once again for being on Taking Flight. It's been a pleasure visiting with you today.
Right. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate being here.
And thank you for joining us for this episode of Taking Flight. When we return, we're going to talk with Taylor High School journalism teacher Dawn Fischer about the career path available for students today who want to enter a career in journalism. We're back with Dawn Fischer, journalism, yearbook, and graphic design teacher at Taylor High School. Welcome, Ms. Fischer, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Now, you actually teach a variety of courses at Taylor High School. Could you tell us about them?
Sure. I teach the media courses. So the first course is Principles of Arts, Audio, Video, and Communications. And in this course, that's where you learn really what you're interested in. We cover photography, we cover graphic design, and we cover videography. And the students get to do a little bit of each of those, and then hopefully at the end of the course they decide which of the one or two sometimes that they're interested in pursuing. After that, they can pursue the next level, and it's just a full immersion in either graphic design or photography or videography. And then if they still love the what they are pursuing, then they can go into the advanced sections, and that's where they get the real world experience. So for instance, the kids in graphic design actually run a business. I tell them it's the only course on campus that you publish your homework, have a pretty extensive budget because they sell yearbooks, they sell advertising, and they do all the legwork. They know from the beginning that I'm the advisor and that it is their task to publish that yearbook. And so that's their real world experience.
We visited with Jason Hennington, 1999 graduate of Taylor High School, who is now the managing editor of the Taylor Press.
Okay.
So for students who are interested in careers in journalism, like Mr. Hennington, what does Taylor High School have to offer that will prepare them for success in journalism-related careers?
Well, one of the things, and I have to say our district offers such an advantage to our students because the computers that we use, they go out and they have full knowledge of how, really the top of the line computers work. We use Adobe Creative Cloud. And that is the best software. It's professional software. It's expensive, but it is excellent for students to go out. And I will tell you, on more than one occasion, and I actually have a little screenshot on my desktop, I had a student that texted me and she said, "Hey, Ms. Fischer, I just wanted to let you know I got a job, and it was because I knew Adobe Creative Cloud."
So it's already paying off.
Yes, yeah. So that gives them a great advantage. Also, I think the leadership of taking advantage of having the support and having the technology and having the guidance to go out and pursue topics on their own and then come back and publish them, just sometimes seeing it in another format rather than just turning it into a teacher receiving it, I think that makes them prepared for what it's like to be out in the real world.
And that's always a good experience.
Right,
yes.
right.
Well, it seems like the opportunities now are so much better than in the days of the typewriter when you and I were in school.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about the technology that students are learning to use in classrooms today?
Sure. I got drawing boards for them to draw so they can draw a little bit more freely. Sometimes the computer can be kind of they can feel inhibited because it's hard to get the idea from up here onto some kind of output. So that helps a lot. In the video classes, we've got, we can do live broadcasts. I mean, we can do pretty much anything that they want to do. It's not real expensive equipment, and that's one good thing, that the equipment is coming down in price. So these kids are getting skills that they are going to be able to build on if they pursue this as a career.
For students who apply themselves and learn as much as they can in these courses, what kinds of opportunities will they be able to pursue after graduation?
They can pursue reporters. They know how to report. Some of them have been published writers. The Taylor Press works with us pretty well. A lot of times we'll ask for input from our students. So reporters, they've already been reporters. They know what that means. They can start right at that level. They could take photography. They could pursue a career in photography. They could be videographers that could go and work for maybe a movie set. And from what they've learned, there is a lot of room for growth. Even just becoming an animator, they could take the skills that they've learned in graphic design. 3D is a lot of what people are pursuing with animation, and we don't really have the time to offer that, but they have all the basics they need to begin to pursue animation at the next level.
So there are a lot of opportunities and a variety of opportunities.
Right, and I feel like they are well prepared. I feel like what they know, they don't always realize how prepared they are until they get out and say, oh, I already know that. So,
But they're ready for that next step.
right, for sure. Yes, definitely.
So you are a Taylor Duck, class of 1986.
Yes.
And you're still here in Taylor. You're still very much involved in Taylor. So I have to ask, why Taylor? What is so special about this community and the schools?
Well, first of all, I am here because I feel called to be here. I have had, other opportunities that I could have pursued, but there's something that has always made me feel like I was supposed to be here. And each time I have that student that was in my class for 4 years that I see grow, that I might have gone to school with his or her mom or dad, and I see how they've grown and how they progress and they keep in touch, I know that it is my job to be here to work toward just preserving our heritage and preserving the community that we have. A lot of what I learned was because of the projects that I was being the class president as a junior and doing the prom. We were in charge of the prom. We had it at the old student center, and I learned so much about just dealing with people and guiding people and making decisions. And so I guess I want to provide those same opportunities for my students. A lot of times as a teacher, we feel like it's a bad thing if we're not in control. And I feel like it's a really good thing to hand over the reins to the students. And I want them to be prepared. Maybe they don't all pursue journalism, but they have the skills to go out and be leaders. And I learned to be a leader from Taylor High School. And I want to share that with my students and enrich our community.
It's a proud heritage.
Yes, it
Once
is.
a duck,
Always a duck. Right.
Well, Dawn, it's been so much fun visiting with you today, and I have one last question for you.
Okay.
What is your secret for success? What is one piece of advice that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Just every single day, I come and I think about that my job is to be here for the kids. I have no desire to be an administrator. I don't want to be anywhere besides the classroom. I like being a teacher and I like being here for the kids. And if I keep that in mind and I remember kindness and compassion, then those kids return that to me. And it enriches my life, and I can see it enrich their lives as well.
That's very well said.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being with us today. And thank all of you for joining us for this episode of Taking Flight. We'll see you next time.